Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today, we're tackling a pervasive phrase you've likely heard or even uttered yourself. There is nothing we can do. But is this truly the case? Are we powerless in the face of life's challenges? Over the next 10 minutes, we'll dissect this notion, dispel the myth of helplessness, and illuminate the paths towards action and empowerment. Stick around for the next 10 minutes as we debunk this idea and explore how we can empower ourselves to take action. The first thing we need to understand is that it's natural to feel overwhelmed at times. Life can be a relentless series of curveballs that leave us feeling like we're standing at the foot of an insurmountable mountain. And in the face of such daunting challenges, it's tempting to throw up our hands and say there's nothing we can do. But let's take a moment to challenge this assumption. Is it really true that there's nothing we can do? Or is this just a convenient phrase we use to shield ourselves from the responsibility of taking action? Think about the last time you felt powerless. Maybe it was a personal hurdle that seemed too high to jump over. Or perhaps it was a societal issue that felt too vast and complex for one person to make a difference. In such moments, it's easy to believe that our actions are just a drop in the ocean, inconsequential in the grand scheme of things. But here's the thing, every wave starts with a single ripple, every forest begins with a single seed, and every monumental change in history has started with a single person choosing to believe in the power of action. So, the next time you find yourself in a situation where you feel powerless, pause and challenge the assumption that there's nothing you can do. Ask yourself, what's one small action I can take right now? You might be surprised at the impact you can make. Remember, feeling overwhelmed is natural. It's a part of being human, but it's important that we don't let this feeling paralyze us. Instead, we should use it as a catalyst for change. We should use it as a reminder that we are not powerless, we are not helpless. And there is always something we can do, but it's crucial to remember that change often starts with believing in the possibility of action. So, let's start believing and let's start acting. Because when we do, we'll find that there's a lot more we can do than we ever thought possible. To emphasize this point, let's dive into history. Human history is replete with instances where the power of action has transformed seemingly impossible situations. Let's start with the American Civil Rights Movement. African Americans, supported by allies, challenged the status quo, stood up against racial segregation, and fought tirelessly for equal rights. Their collective action led to landmark changes in legislation, forever altering the course of history. Next, we journey to South Africa, where the struggle against apartheid unfolded. Here, a determined Nelson Mandela, along with countless others, refused to accept the oppressive system. Their relentless efforts and persistent protests led to the dismantling of apartheid and the birth of a new democratic South Africa. And let's not forget the women's suffrage movement. Women across the globe rallied together, demanding their rightful place in political decision-making. Their vocal protests and unyielding spirit eventually led to the recognition of women's right to vote. These historical examples stand as powerful reminders of the strength of collective action. Each of these movements began with a few individuals who refused to accept the status quo. They believed in the possibility of change, and through their actions, they were able to rally others to their cause and effect significant societal transformation. So, when you're faced with a situation where you feel like there's nothing you can do, remember these stories. Remember the civil rights activists, the anti-apartheid champions, the suffragettes. Remember that change often starts with a single step, a single voice, a single action. These aren't just stories from our past. They are lessons for our present and guideposts for our future. They teach us that action, no matter how small, can ripple out and create waves of change. They remind us that when we come together, when we refuse to accept the status quo, we have the power to shape our world. It's a reminder that even in the darkest times, there's always something we can do. Now let's hear some personal stories. We've invited two individuals who faced adversity and turned their situations around through action. Our first guest is Jane. Jane found herself stuck in a dead-end job, feeling unfulfilled and aimless. But instead of surrendering to the phrase, "There is nothing I can do," Jane decided to take action. She started by setting small, achievable goals. She read books, attended workshops, and networked relentlessly. Today, Jane runs her own successful business, transforming her once daunting situation into an empowering journey of self-discovery. Next, we have John. John grew up in a neighborhood plagued by crime and poverty. Many believed there was nothing they could do to change their circumstances. But John thought differently. He started a community group to address local issues, from neighborhood safety to educational opportunities. Through consistent effort and a strong belief in the power of change, John helped transform his neighborhood into a supportive and thriving community. These stories underline an essential truth. It's easy to feel powerless when faced with a challenging situation. But remember, there's always a choice. Jane chose to change her career path, and John chose to improve his community. Both of them faced obstacles, but they persevered, proving that there's always something we can do. These stories are a testament to the human spirit's resilience and the power of taking action. They remind us that no matter the situation, we have the ability to effect change, not just in our lives, but in the world around us. So, the next time you feel like saying, "There is nothing we can do," remember Jane and John. Remember their stories, their struggles, and their victories. Most importantly, remember their choice to act, to change, and to make a difference. And with that, we conclude our segment on personal stories. Remember, each one of us has the potential to create change. It all starts with a single step, a single action. The power is in your hands. These stories are a testament to the human spirit's resilience and the power of taking action. Now that we understand the importance of taking action, let's explore some strategies for empowerment. First, setting realistic goals and expectations. It's not about trying to solve every problem at once. Start small and gradually build up. Every step, no matter how tiny, counts. It's about acknowledging the effort and celebrating the journey, not just the destination. Second, building a support network. No one should face challenges alone. Reach out to like-minded individuals, join groups, or seek mentorship. A strong support network can provide the motivation, resources, and advice you need to navigate through tough times. Remember, collective action can create ripple effects that go far beyond what we can achieve individually. Thirdly, educating yourself on the issue. Knowledge is power. Understand the problem, research the causes, and explore potential solutions. This will not only boost your confidence, but also equip you with the tools to make informed decisions and take meaningful action. But let's not forget, empowerment doesn't happen overnight. It's a journey, a process of continuous learning and growth. It's about challenging the status quo, questioning our assumptions, and embracing our potential to effect change. So the next time you find yourself faced with a seemingly insurmountable challenge, remember these strategies. Don't let the phrase, "There is nothing we can do," hold you back. Instead, remind yourself of the power you hold. Set realistic goals, lean on your support network, and arm yourself with knowledge. Remember, the next time you find yourself thinking, "There is nothing we can do," take a step back and consider the possibilities. Change is not a distant dream, but a reality that we can shape with our actions. Let's not just dream of a better world, let's act to create it. Thank you for joining us today. We've journeyed through time and personal experiences, all to challenge that often heard refrain, "There is nothing we can do." Yet, as we've seen, this phrase is far from an absolute truth. We've looked at historical events, from the civil rights movement to the fight against apartheid and the women's suffrage movement, all testaments to the power of collective action. Then, we heard from individuals who faced seemingly insurmountable challenges only to turn the tide and make a difference. We also explored strategies for empowerment, highlighting the importance of setting realistic goals, building a support network, and educating ourselves about the issues we care about. These are not just words, but practical steps towards making a change, starting with ourselves and then rippling out into the world. It's the belief in the possibility of action that sparks change. It's in challenging the status quo, in standing up against adversity, in refusing to accept that there is nothing we can do. So, as we wrap up, we hope we've inspired you to rethink that phrase. There is always something we can do, always a step we can take, always a difference we can make. Together, we can prove that there is always something we can do. Let's go out there and make a difference.